Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the July 28th meeting of the Crescent Springs City Council. Roll call, please.
Carol McGowan. Here. Bob Miller.
Here.
Don Kylie.
Here.
Jeff Smith.
Here.
Mark Burton.
Here.
Jenny Bell Smith.
Present.
Thank you.
We go up.
Skip ahead of the prayer and pledge, so if we can stand for that, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we thank you for bringing us here this evening. I ask that you put in everyone's hearts what's best for our residents and those that visit the city, so that we do what's right by them. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Next on the agenda is approval of minutes from June 23rd, 2025 council meeting.
Mayor, do you mind if I make an amendment to the minutes regarding the study I did on the demographics and public works? There was a long discussion on that. That we make that part of the minutes if that's possible.
So I guess that would be in the public works report. Where was?
It was under the budget.
In the budget, okay, makes sense. So what would you like it to say?
Just add the actual study that I had.
The document?
This is the document, correct.
So that'll be a motion to add that. Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. Okay, so as amended,
Thank you.
is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Carol McGowan.
Yes.
Bob Miller.
Yes.
Don Kylie.
Yes.
Jeff Smith.
Yes.
Mark Burton.
Yes.
Jenny Bell Smith.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Judge Executive of Kenton County, Chris Hoffman. He wanted to come up and give us an idea of what's going on in the county that.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members. Forgive me a few minutes this evening. I've really just tried, I should do this more often, but to take maybe 5 minutes and share with you some of the things that both directly impact the city, but also just countywide things, because I know you have lives going on, and some things you may not be aware in other parts of the county. But in particular, I think in today's world, we always think about education, public safety are the areas elected officials have responsibility for. Of course, education, cities and counties don't oversee that. That's right. You've got a separate board. But in terms of public safety and some of the other initiatives, I want to make sure you were both aware of and kept up to date on. First off, I'll tell you that, of course, the mayor is doing his thing. I want to say a shout out to him as well as as Mr. Daly. Mike's really just very good about reaching out to us when needed, and also when we're trying to get the perspective of what's going on in the cities. Mike's top of the list to work with. I wanted to say thank you so much for his cooperation. Couple of topics. Start out at dispatch. It's one of the biggest areas that impact your police officers, your fire department, and what does that look like for the county? As you all may or may not be aware of, and sometimes we take for granted, things have changed over the years, but with our consolidated dispatch operation that is funded by the 911 fees, really a great operation. We are very fortunate. Ashley Hawks, who runs that, and is thankfully mostly up to staff. We've funded it very well so that we try and keep and retain and recruit some of the best people in the region. And I'll put up our dispatch operation about anybody else in the Commonwealth, if not the region. And what does that look like for you all? We did upgrade our CAD system, the system that your police and fire use every day. We upgraded the back all the way in 2018, but we annually improve that. And one area also that your police department, fire department has is up-to-date equipment. So the MDTs that they deal with daily, that's funded as part of the 911 fee. So it's not something you see on your all's budget. You'll see, you just realize that your professionals have the up-to-date equipment that they need in terms of the technology that they need, as well as you all know, the radio system that we continue to invest in was in the tops in the Commonwealth to make sure that they can all communicate with one another and across the region. We expect, hopefully, in the coming months and year, to have the same CAD system, by the way, across all 3 counties. That's a goal that we've had for a long time. Behind the scenes, it's not very sexy to talk about, but the fact is, when it comes to public safety, if there's something horrendous or something minor, you want to be able to have police departments be able to talk to one another. Today in the county, that can be done, and hopefully they can talk to one another, but we want to be able to have the same dispatch system that can help designate if somebody's across county lines, where are they, see them, and be able to dispatch them appropriately. A big shout out, by the way, for Code Red. So I think you have it on your wall's website, but really encourage residents to, when they have a moment, to go online, register themselves so that when really challenging things hit the community, they can be notified on their cell phone, and it allows them to put some other data in there. It's not overly obtrusive about it, but it gives them the ability to connect should it ever be needed in the community. A little data point for 911 calls. I'll guess, anybody want to guess how many calls come from Crescent Springs in a given year? Come on, BJ, guess, anybody? So, what's that? 1,100. Almost 20,000. So almost about 20,000 calls come in to dispatch in a given year. That was last year from Crescent Springs, and that's it's average. Obviously, we know that you all live in a very safe community. We don't have a lot of need, but that is a great resource, especially when it comes to ambulance as well as police services. Moving on, a couple of quick notes. A detention center. Jailer Mark Fields has done a superior job of having, I think, also one of the best jails in the Commonwealth. Why do we care? Well, good budgets, good budget management, a great facility. So when your police department does arrest somebody and they need to be locked up, there's a place to get them in there safely, and it's going to be managed well. That population pre-COVID was up almost to 900 individuals in that jail. Now we're averaging about 600. Why is the difference? The management of the population so that when they come in, those who need to be locked up, they're locked up. The ones who need to get out either into treatment or get back to work or whatever it is, that there's a management of that on a daily basis, and they're doing a great job. Arrests, as you know, in the city are not that great, thank God. But when they are arrested, we want to make sure that in all of our neighboring cities, individuals have a place to go. We're always there, as you know, the police department, public works, you had to talk about your report. We're always there to back up the city when necessary. You have a fine team, but when it comes to our police department, especially when it comes to drone activity, as well as some of the accident reconstruction efforts that the police department has to back you up so you don't have to have that expertise. One horrific area that we still have to manage in the county, and we support the city, is in crimes against children, so internet crimes against children. We've got a top-notch investigative team that does support, if ever that is an issue in the city, that continue to do that as well. You talked about your public works report earlier, and we're always there to help, whether it be just doing basic things as well as being available for striping programs, buying salt, all those kind of things. We're always buying anything we buy as a county today, and have been for the past number of years. Anything the county buys and negotiates can be acquired by the city, can buy it at that same rate without any hoopla. You can just go in there, and it's any city's able to do it. A couple of items I do want to point out also, it's animal control services, on 3L. That it's probably the most retail operation that we run as a county, the most in day-to-day engaging with residents. And there's so many of these services, it doesn't make sense for a city to have their own. But the animal services, which we handle from bringing in dogs, cats, and trying to release them to families, that continues to be top-notch in the community. We encourage you to come down and visit. There's always dogs and cats to be adopted. Pretty proud of this, but we're really over a 99% live release rate. Why do you care? Well, instead of euthanizing animals, they're back into families, and we're working with them to make sure that animals, if they're lost, go back to the family, and if they need assistance, they're getting assistance to make sure that those animals stay in their home and adding to their families. And one of the other, there was, for that note, for the city last year, about 130 calls that came in from the city just for animal control services. Lastly, I want to just touch on a couple of big county-wide projects. We have been working on a county redevelopment fund. Thankfully, in your city, you don't have a huge need to go into more commercial spaces to get them acquired to redevelop because they're not eyesores. That's good because you've got a great operation going on in the city. But we have that resource available, so we're working with other cities from Independence, Erlanger, and Covington to utilize those dollars to invest in property that need to be redeveloped, but they can't be done on a city level by themselves. To that end, some of you have noted, we're working on a site readiness effort, county-wide effort to make sure that we have a place for businesses to come and grow, maybe not in Crescent Springs because we're not likely to have many manufacturing facilities here, but if they help the county and they're in the county, what that does is help reduce overall property taxes. It helps obviously add jobs available for all of our families and friends, and that's an effort that we're continuing to plant seeds in that along the southwest corridor of Kenton County. Great response from the property owners in that area. Some would love to just keep it all rural forever, but the reality is people in those areas have a right to do something with their property, and we continue to support that. Last three big items, just to keep you in the loop as I wrap up, you're probably also aware that the county has taken the lead on the redevelopment of the new UK School of Medicine in Chase, which will be coming to Covington. We're working well with those two universities to give them a new home. That's something Kenton County will be very proud to house them, as well as be a location that those individuals can come, be trained, and stay in our community ideally. Doctors and attorneys, we want to make sure we have the best in the community, and that's going to continue to be something we're very proud of that will be in the Covington corridor. And we're working with the Port Authority to make that happen. Second to last is Spark House, the entrepreneurship hub, which is going to be opening next month in the old Sims Furniture Building at 7th and Madison. If you haven't been down, in the next week the big cover will be coming off, and you'll see the new facade. That will house be the hub for entrepreneurship in Northern Kentucky. Exciting that we've got the largest private equity or venture capital fund in the state will be housed there. Chad Summey and his group, eGateway, as well as we're over 50% leased out already without even opening the doors. For anyone renting for anything from a desk to a private office, they'll have a place to go to have flexible lease terms, flexible rates. Why do we care? Businesses help drive the economy, drive our property taxes down, and improve our property taxes or our payroll taxes. That'll continue to be a great resource for the community. Lastly, trying to run through this quickly, but exciting also, the new Kenton County Park. So those of you who have golfed in Fox Run know that a number of years ago we closed that down. Didn't make financial sense. That 200 and some odd acres, 250 acres, I think, something like that, was paid for by federal grants. Can't sell it, or else we have to return 100% of those funds to the feds. So we're making it into which will be a signature park for Kenton County for all of us to use. We are going to invest a lot of money to make this something special. You all know it's a challenge. Green spaces are tough. They're expensive. They're annoying sometimes to reinvest in them. You know that. This is going to be a signature park that will not be duplicative of what's already in the cities. It'll be a destination for families to come out and use, whether it be just something as simple as shelters, but also we were looking at some of the topography for those who used to golf Fox. Very hilly. There'll be some spaces where you can climb out into a pathway and be up in the trees. You'll be able to have some, there'll be pickleball, of course, there'll be some of those other amenities. Pretty exciting, and if you have a chance, go to our website, you'll see some of the preliminary plans. But we have a owner's rep now who's working with us that will be starting to move dirt probably by the end of this year, but will be about a 2-year build out to something I think we're all going to be real proud of in Kenton County. So with that, I've talked enough. Thanks for giving me a few minutes. I'm always here if you work for every one of you on a daily basis. If you ever need us, here to reach out and give me grief or give me a good idea. So with that,
I have
yes.
a question. What
Sure.
about the TID, the Transportation Improvement District?
Yeah, it's in place. So the TID, which is something the state, it gave us a tool to invest in capital projects or road projects. We now have a board, and they've met probably 2 or 3 times to develop a structure by which they can take projects. But one thing they don't have today is money. So when they have funds, whether it be allocated by the county or by the state, they'll have projects which we can either work with the city or independently to do all kinds of things. So it's a great tool. I encourage you to look at it. It's something that Sal Santoro, before he left office, gave us a tool And now we have that available as an extra tool to get things done a faster way than maybe KYTC would otherwise do it. Good question.
Judge, just for people out there, Foxman, the new park, where would that roughly be located?
So it's actually so that's right on Richardson Road, so essentially Turkey Foot South to Richardson. And you'll be able, in some pieces of it, you'll be able to see it from the present golf course there off of Richardson Road. But it'll be, there right now, by the way, even as it is today and has been since we closed it down, the trails are open. So we encourage everybody to be very aware where they're going. Ideally have a cell phone that does work in the toughest spots of Kenton County because it's very hilly. And then be ready to handle some hills because it's been we've had probably as many people utilize it as a walking park as we did play golf there, which is nice. We do keep it trimmed up so the pathways and things are there, but they can get slippery and it's steep. So even before we move dirt. You bet.
We had a visitor from Jonathan Shell.
Mm-hmm, sure.
I met him at the meeting.
Yeah.
He all stopped in and said hi.
Yep.
What was his purpose here? Because we finally have a farmer that's actually in the Secretary of Agriculture.
Yeah, well, he is coming up here as much as we don't have a lot of, in fact, I would argue we don't have any full-time farms here anymore, but he is all about economic development and seeing what the rest of the Commonwealth can either benefit from and or learn from Northern Kentucky. So Jonathan's been a great partner. Of course, he manages things like the everything from the gas meters and when we're pumping gas to make sure that data is all correct. But he came up making sure that because he's such a young man, as he elevates in his leadership of Kentucky, we wanted to make sure that he knows that Northern Kentucky is here, and we want to always realize we're a donor area from Northern Kentucky to Frankfort, and we want to make sure we always have those relationships. But he's very dynamic and creative about what he can do to help the economy in Northern Kentucky as well as the rest of the state. And he's sharp as heck if anybody hasn't got a chance to listen to
I was
him.
very proud to see him being
Yeah.
in Kenton County with you guys.
He's sharp.
He remembered me too.
Yeah, he's sharp. He's a really sharp guy. Thanks all. Have a wonderful evening. I appreciate it. Take care. Thanks. By the way, watch out for the fire chief.
He's next up, so. Chief Wayne, since you've been called out.
Yes, I have. Good evening. 49 fire calls for June, 87 ambulance calls, 295 fire calls for the year, 622 year-to-date for the ambulance. I emailed both mayors the state mutual aid agreement. I encourage both mayors to sign that. The fire authority has already signed it or is about to sign it. Basically, all that does is if there's another natural disaster in Kentucky and we deploy firefighters there, it helps us recoup our money. FEMA will not pay us unless everybody is on board with the mutual aid agreement. The other thing that does is if there's a natural disaster in Crescent Springs or Villa Hills, we will get assistance from the state.
That is on our agenda tonight for first reading.
Good, okay. We do have mutual aid agreements already with Boone, Kenton, and Campbell County, as well as all the surrounding fire departments. Indiana and Ohio, us individually, have agreements with. So it would be not uncommon for us to operate with Cincinnati on the river. The next thing I have is our ISO rating, and for anybody that doesn't know what ISO is, it's a rating of your fire department, and it basically compares you to others. Our rating remains a 2. A 2 is an excellent rating. The scale is from 1 to 10, 1 being the best. There are only 6 1s in Kentucky. There are major metropolitan, Lexington, Louisville, Owensboro. In Kenton County, it ranges from 6s to 2s, and everything in between. Like Judge Knuckleman said, there's lots of things that play into that. The communication part of it is a major part of it. I think it's 30% of our rating. The fire hydrants, which occasionally I've come and asked the one in front of the hardware store to be replaced, and things like that. Our fire hydrants, our dispatch got nearly 100%. The fire department itself did very well. All the equipment that we have is exactly what they recommend that we have. Where we did lose some points on is some training. A lot of that has to do with the fact we don't have a training facility right now. Kenton County sold the facility, or the fire chiefs sold the facility to Rumpke about 3 years ago. And we're in the process of building a new one behind Gateway on 3L. However, until we get the new one built, we don't get credit for training there. So we have to train there 4 times a year, or at a common training facility, and we just don't have one right now. But we couldn't be any happier with the 2 rating. There are only 66, I think, 2s in Kentucky. The majorities are 5s, 6s, 7s. We met with MediCount, who is our ambulance building provider. They are thrilled that we're bringing in 90% of what we bill. They also discussed the Medicaid agreement that we entered into with the state of Kentucky, and they're estimating that we may bring in between $200,000 and $300,000 from that next September, not this coming one. And then the last thing I have is all the striker equipment is in place. If you remember that we haggled about that for nearly 8 months. So the ambulance cots, the heart monitors, everything has been replaced and is now covered under the striker agreement. What is also covered is every AED in the city that belongs to the city of Crescent Springs, city of Villa Hills, the police. Everything is now covered under one blanket through the fire department. So it's anything breaks, they come and fix it.
That was a 10-year agreement, correct?
10 years.
How long have you been chief?
Next year will be 20 years.
You won't take credit, but I think a lot of what you've been reporting on comes back to the leadership of the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Totally agree.
Is the planning already in place now with Rio?
Yes. So,
Money in place too?
so the money has to be spent by December because
There's some money.
it's a grant, some of the state of Kentucky grant for, but the $1 million we got when we sold the property to Rumpke, all that has gone to purchase the property. So basically what we need is a 4-story training tower, so to simulate a high-rise building, and then a burn building. And what we've come up with for burn building is shipping containers work much better than the building we used to have because it had to be certified every year. And when you burn fires in there that reach 300, 400 degrees, it breaks down the block, it breaks down so if a shipping container gets destroyed, we just replace it. So it is in the works. It's just been a slow process.
Thank you. I have a question. What about a fire blanket in every home?
A fire blanket?
What are you doing for those?
You can buy them on any fire website, and I would recommend Darley Fire Equipment. If you're looking for a fire blanket, if you mean one you would throw on somebody that's on fire, is that what you? Yep.
They're pretty good.
I would prefer you got a fire extinguisher over a fire blanket.
As far as extinguishment.
Yeah.
What about fire? What about they have a fire in a car that has a lithium battery? What do you do with those?
So what we have right now is basically the same thing. It's a fire blanket. It's a blanket that goes over the car to try and smother it. Our process right now, since that's not 100% effective, is I will call for a rollback dumpster and a dump truck full of sand. We'll put the car into the dumpster. We'll fill the dumpster full of sand to smother the fire because it's nearly impossible to put out a battery fire with water.
Yeah, lithium blanket.
Right.
Lithium batteries are a big issue.
Right.
Anything else? Thanks,
Okay,
Chief.
thanks.
Chief Hall.
Good evening, everybody. First off, I do want to say thank you to Chief Went for including the police department in with the striker contract. It is providing us with much needed newer AEDs for the police officers. As it's been now, at least years ago, we used to have the same equipment. We would be able to plug in and have the same, the pads that we put on. fire department show up and then we're able to take it over. Well, that has changed over the years, but now we're going back to that. So our equipment will be interchangeable, and them managing that and maintenance and everything like that. It's a great program. So thank you for that. Monthly activity for June. Again, I know everybody got a copy of this. I'll kind of go through this. If anybody has any specific questions, please let me know. Had 12 crimes, 17 traffic collisions, 26 citations, 24 warnings, 14 incident reports or e-call responses, 9 domestics, and did not have any e-crisis or crisis intervention forms filled out. Roadway collisions, top again, Buttermilk and I-75 South were our top vote getters for collisions. You can kind of see the maps that's been provided to you as well for where the collisions took place. Criminal investigation, Sergeant Lucas was able to sign out a warrant for a burglary first case, and the arrest was made on that. The case still remains open for court purposes. An overdose death that we had in Villa Hills, we had already made one arrest on a suspect for trafficking and importing fentanyl. Another dealer has now been arrested and charged in connection with that, and that investigation continues on as it is being taken as a federal case as well. So again, Sergeant Lucas and Agent Dooley have done a fantastic job with that, and they're continuing on their work with those. Sergeant Lucas also completed employee background and opened up a new rape third investigation as well. Our training was focused on Chapter 27, which was our evidence collection and processing. 9 hours of canine training for Officer Dooley, 40 hours for Officer Robbins for defensive tactics instructor, and 40 hours for enhanced handgun performance for Officer Cicchinelli. K9, he had one deployment. Now Officer Dooley and K9 Onyx were off for over 2 weeks for vacation and a conference. For vacation this past month. So he has one deployment credited with 3 arrests and 3 charges. The overtime, we had 46 and a half hours of overtime. 6 of that was in court, 13 and a half of that in shift coverage. 24 of it was in Fire in the Hills. Fire in the Hills did go on June 28th. It was a great event for anybody that did attend. Had quite a few in attendance. A fireworks show was amazing as always. So appreciate everybody that came out and kept it a safe and fun event. We did have also 3 hours in overtime for Vice Presidential Protection Detail, which he changed plans on us at the last minute. He was supposed to go to our fair, Skyline City in Crescent Springs, but that changed. He changed his destination once he landed, so we had to avert that and go a different route. A couple of just announcements. The St. Joe's Festival was this week, so it's obviously just up the road. Everybody go out, have a safe time, enjoy it. We did hire a new officer. He's a lateral transfer from the Kentucky State Police, Post 6. His name is Landon Terry. So he is completing through his field training purposes and or process, and be out on the road here soon. And the last announcement is that Officer Dooley has now been promoted to Sergeant Dooley. So he is a sergeant, still in charge of our canine and still an active canine handler, but he is promoted to sergeant in our command staff. So,
Congratulations to him.
yes, and that is my report.
Do we have any issues with abandoned cars? Have you had any issues this month or the last few months with abandoned cars?
I mean, we take calls for abandoned cars, and we've either, I think we've probably towed or moved them. I don't think we've towed any, actually, I take that back. I know that we've had a couple calls for abandoned vehicles. We mark them, and then if they don't get moved, obviously, we try to make contact with the owner and have them moved. But I know we take them, but I don't know how many calls.
Just a few?
Probably, yeah.
You guys see the new cruisers marked up, they look sharp.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that is something as well. The new cruisers, thank you for bringing that out, Councilmember Smith. They are gray. Decaling is basically the same on the side. I will make a mention, yes, I like gray cars. We're not changing the fleet as it stands right now, but as we buy new cars, they'll be dark gray with that graphic package on the side. It's a little ode to my dad, my father, who spent 42 years in law enforcement. His first agency was the Boone County Police, who had gray cars. So I grew up with gray cars, so I like gray cars. So,
Thank you, sir.
what's that, sir?
Perks of the office.
A little something there. It is what it is.
Thank you very much. Public Works, Director Miller, please.
Good evening. I know you guys got my report, so I'll try to run through a few key points here. Completed projects, we had some changes. Along with Old Buttermilk Pike, Walnut Street, we also completed Squire Hill Drive with a patch job, high crossing curb patch, and we also completed Old Buttermilk Pike and Walnut Street where we had to cut out sections and repave those. We have sent out 36 sidewalk letters and 33 have been fixed already, which I think is a positive. And SD1 is responsible for doing 2 of those repairs. Just emergency responses, a fallen tree blocked access on Forest Hill Drive, so we got that cleaned up. There was a temporary shutdown on Horton Street due to some power line damage. After the big storm on Eubanks, we had a lot of tree and debris blocking the drain down at the end, so we had to take care of. And then we had a few water main breaks in the city. And we got some ongoing projects right now. The Crescent Spring Avenue drain project is almost completed. The Sons of American Revolution, they got their footer poured for their bench. Now they're just waiting for their bench to be made, and then they will come and put that in. And as soon as we get some more not rainy weather, we've got some crosswalks to paint, and we've got some stop bars to paint. So we did have Shred Day, which I think was a success. Myself and one other Public Works member came in and worked that event. So, that's it.
Do you have anybody that had troubles working in the heat?
Not right now, thank goodness.
You have a lot of heat.
Yes,
Good job.
thank you.
Director Miller?
Sure who's responsible for the shred day, but that was a great program. It worked out really nice.
It was very successful. The truck was actually bulging out the sides when it pulled out.
It was actually a little too successful, I think. We had ended a little early, so we'll make adjustments in the future. It was a combined effort between Bill Hills and Crescent Spring. We did it together. So yeah, so a little bit too successful, but we'll adjust for the future. Yeah, very good.
Thanks for doing the report. I mean, much like the police and fire, I could say we probably get questions about streets as much as anything else, so
Yeah.
that is.
Thank you.
I just have a question about the Public Works meeting. That was basically, we found out about that like July the 8th of 20 a.m. and it was for July the 9th at 12 o'clock. I find that was to be a difficult time for anybody to basically make plans to be there. I'm very busy on Wednesdays myself, and some others were too. Really, Jeff had some issues with it. And I think the Public Works Committee is very important. And I did ask Mr. Daly if the Public Works News was an emergency, and he texted me back and said no, or emailed me back and said it was, I asked him if it would be rescheduled at a time that we will propose to other residents to come and listen. Because I think if we can get somebody from the city to come in here and care about what we're doing, that's most important. Civic engagement, bringing people to the process. That's sort of what my mantra is for very many years. And I think the Public Works Committee must realize the importance of all council residents have a voice to be heard. And Public Works is a very important aspect of the city, and the Public Works budget begs the question. All have a seat at the meeting, and President Tom replied. With that point, I have a motion. May I?
I'm not sure what your motion is, but
Not ready? May I? Is it my favorite?
I don't know what your.
I know I have it for. Well, I will read my motion, and because we get a vote on it. I seek recognition. I have a motion that all committee meetings permit all the audiences to address the committee with their concerns. I know that at the Public Works Committee meeting, there was no one could speak or address any concerns they might have had. And I believe that is your area.
Right,
what
that's the
he's
same.
talking about.
I'm not the chair.
You should be addressing this to Councilperson McGowan.
But,
The chairman.
okay, well, the motion, and I would like to hopefully get a second that in any committee meeting that we have, we permit all in attendance to address the committee with their concerns. We have an open government, and we are a voice for the people, and it's their right to be heard. It is our right to address their concerns that we might have. I can understand if there's any really bad issues with it. I don't think we're going to have anything like that. So I would like to see if we have a second to the motion.
I'd like to bring it up in new business, but I gotta agree with you, Janine. Special meetings, I think we hold too many of these. And I know that, you know, you gotta have them periodically, but, you know, if there's not a pressing issue, I see where special meetings should at least have a 3-day notice, and allow the citizens to participate. This is my 2 cents.
Well, I am trying to make sure that we get notice out. There's something came up in the communications committee meeting that literally just went into effect, so that, I had not talked to Councilman McGowan about that yet, so that's possibly on me. But yeah, it is our intention to give 3 days notice on all meetings.
Perfect, thank you.
Is that a second for my motion? Jeff?
Mike Baker, are we not going against KRS here?
I would ask if you would submit that to me and let me read the statutes first, and we can talk about that at the next council meeting.
Okay, I have read the statutes, and I know I have quite a bit of information you
I am
said.
quite confident you.
Yeah, and I'm sure
But I'd
that,
like to reread.
that I do, but you'd like to read them too. But I think it's most important that we let anyone that has the time and energy to come to our meetings, to let them have a voice. The apathy is concerning to me. And the more people that we open up our, address our committees, our council is most important thing. We are a voice for the people, and I believe in their right to be heard. And as elected officials, we are their voice, and they come to us and they talk to us.
So on advice of council, I would ask that you take your motion off the floor and give the information to Mr. Baker so you can review it and get back to us for next meeting.
So we put that on the table then, until we get more information from
You
Mr.
can just
Baker.
remove it, you can just bring your motion back if I'm right, Mr. Baker. You can rescind
I
your
put it-
motion
put it on?
and then give it to Mr. Baker to review.
I will respond further.
You always do. You're very astute.
It's not going to be this week, I will tell you, but I will respond to it.
But I think it's very important that we
I think
have
it's
to get right.
important that everyone understands what the statutory requirements are, and then you can determine how you want to proceed.
So is that acceptable with you?
So we're not going to table it, we're just going to,
I'm asking you
Let
to
it
remove
go.
your motion from,
I want to remove it. I
Well,
want to,
Mr.
Jeff,
Baker.
what do you think?
so
Anybody else?
Mr. Smith hasn't made a second or anything, so this is, I'm asking you because you're the one that made the motion.
So you are telling me then that this motion will be able to come up after Mr. Baker has basically.
You can bring the motion back up.
Yeah, I know what
after
the KRS
You asked me a question. You can bring it back up after Mr. Baker has time to review and report back to the entire council.
Well, he's just going to use the same KRS, it's going to be dead in the water. So, but I think it's our opportunity to say, let's give the people a voice to be heard.
Again, on advice of council, I'm asking you,
So wait, is KRS specific, and what you're asking us to do is go against the KRS?
No, I know whenever I come to the finance committee meeting or anyone comes to your, you
Yeah,
always
my
say.
understanding it's up to the
"Do you have any
chairperson,
questions?"
it's up to me to determine that.
But that's the point, and I think that, because you always do, which is a good thing. You recognize the importance of the people's voice to be heard, and I like that.
But is there a KRS that already covers this?
A KRS.
Or is there already a rule out there that covers this? You're asking us to go against the grain and change the rule?
It's a matter of what's up to the chair, I believe,
I don't understand.
because I know what the KRS is, I read it thoroughly. I don't have it quite memorized, but I almost do.
I think in order to make a motion, don't you need like specifically written down, like be specific on what you're making a motion for too? Like how it's on an agenda, like that's.
I would just.
Well, I think she's wanting to make a motion that we, all committees, that the public can voice their opinions, or voice their
But what is that?
concerns, like you do.
Can I make a statement? This meeting's at 6 o'clock. What's our audience? So what's the difference what time of day it is?
So others can be there, so people that weren't. can
Where
be
are
there.
all these people at?
Well, I'm sure they.
I've been to several committees, the last one Don Colley wasn't at for safety, the meeting went on. I go to fire meetings, a lot of times Barclay isn't there, the meeting goes on. It can't always accommodate everybody that necessarily thinks they need to be there.
I'm talking about the public being able to discuss what's been talked about.
That's why they can come here in the evening.
Well, they need to be able to discuss that at committee meetings as well. I mean,
Then we have long meetings for committee and long meetings for city.
I think the last Public Works Committee ran about 6 minutes. That was not very long.
All right, well, I think we're getting off the topic here of Councilmember J.B. Smith's motion.
Again,
Mr. Baker.
if you will submit to me what you want drafted, allow me to review that, and I will respond to you and the council, and then it will be available to be brought up at the next council.
See, I can't comprehend that there would be a no, because
Well,
This
that
is
may
a
not be,
people's
you may well be right, there may not be enough. I'm not prejudging this at all. What I'm asking you to do is submit it to me so I can read it,
I mean,
and so that I can then determine if there is an issue with the Kentucky statutes. And I will inform council of what I find. I'm not giving an opinion, except a legal opinion. I'm just informing council, this is what the current statutes require.
I read that, I realize.
But I would like to have you submit it to me so I know exactly what you're asking. I'm a little,
It's just a matter for anybody that's at a committee meeting for their voice to be heard.
you know,
If you want to write that up, I'll accept your
But,
motion.
but,
so lawyers require documents.
But like, why can't the issue have to be brought up here? Like, what are the problems? Why
I
can't we just?
didn't quite get what you were saying, because I was talking to Mr.
Like,
Baker.
I just don't get that. Why can't we just discuss whatever they already caucus or somewhere, like, instead of these silly squabbles we do?
I obviously have some remediation to that, which I believe I sent to you, Mr. Gardy, and I believe April, I sent it to you, the information, and Mike, you got it too. I've got it with me tonight. It's our friend, lady that is a parliamentarian, about doing committees of the whole, or doing study groups.
Well, I know you mentioned the study group, and I think Mayor Darty was gonna mention something about that idea. I'm gonna let him have the floor on that.
In my report, I will.
Because if we could have a study group, if we could just sit down there like in a circle, and it looks so impersonal.
I'm going to bring that up in my comments.
And my main goal in this is to bring our council together. We need to work as a team, and we need leadership to make that happen. And that happens to fall on your shoulders, Mr.
As
Darby.
I said, I'm going to bring it up in my comments tonight.
It needs, we need some type of process.
All right, we're going to move on, because are you going to remove this and Mr. Baker to do the research?
I will follow your recommendation of Mr. Baker.
Thank
Thank you.
Any other things for the public works?
Now, I guess I have a question too. I'm gonna seek this till you tell me to shut up. What's gonna be happening to Short Amsterdam? It's deteriorating slowly but surely.
I told you, Councilmember Smith, that we were waiting for the report from the road. And once we have the report from the road, I'll be able to give you better information.
Yeah,
That answer is not going to change until we get the reports on the road.
Well,
And so you can bring it up every month.
I will.
And every month I'm going to give you the same answer.
I will take the same answer.
Okay.
Then I'm
Okay.
trying to bring it to the forefront and to be put on council.
Perfect. We can
So
move on.
I guess my next question is, when did this Ultra, is it Ultra, what?
It's going to be in August. We're going to get the full report in August.
What day in August, do you know?
In August.
And that month of August?
Somewhere in the month of August.
Be interesting to see how that turns out, because there's a lot of people from different cities use that street. That's just like Crescent Springs.
I understand, and we're waiting for the report.
Well, I don't know where the report's gonna stand, but I don't like the if thing. I don't like if.
I didn't say it at all. I said we're going to wait for the
Something
report.
needs to be done now.
We're going to wait for the report, and we're going to make decisions based upon the report.
Well, it's still pretty bad.
Okay. Anything else for public works? Thank you. Moving on to the mayor's reports. To piggyback on what Chief Hall said, please remember the St. Joe's Festival is going on this weekend. There's going to be lots of traffic in and out of the neighborhoods around St. Joe's. Just be extra careful. Watch your speed and such. Watch for pedestrians crossing the roads in places they shouldn't be. The festival is bringing a lot of people to the area. chance to shine, and let's just make sure we stay safe. Hopefully, I know I got mine today, the newsletter should be in your mailbox today, tomorrow. We mailed approximately 2,040 newsletters out. The total cost was $900. From the communications committee, we had a date that we were trying to get it out by July 15th. We got it out on 18th. That was on me because I was waiting to hopefully announce what I posted on Facebook, and that just a few days later, that the signed grant agreement for the revitalization of the playground equipment at the park was received. We can go ahead as of August 1st to make agreements and get that process moving so that we can get the playground equipment back in the park. It's been a long process, and I'm glad that we are getting to fruition on that. Move on to that last. We're looking into whether to put a TV behind me and possibly one back there for visibility, or to change the camera that we use now. Looking at how old that camera is, DPI and everything, to try to make the whatever is presented more legible for people, both here in the council chambers and on the audience. After the communications meeting, as was not an object on the agenda, a resident asked about updating our business directory that we have. We are in the process of getting formed together so we can try to get information on, to increase the information in our business directory, not only brick and mortars that are in the city, but maybe if you're an attorney or if you're a real estate person or something, you want to be listed in the directory. It's not just for brick and mortars. I see on Facebook and the community that I live, people always looking for plumbers or attorneys or electricians. This is a way to, maybe help some of the small businesses that don't have the brick and mortar, but the others live in the city. So we're working on that. The last idea is something that Councilmember J.D. Smith brought up. She wants to go back to what we did, and I'm paraphrasing, the caucuses pre-COVID, where we sat in a square down here in the middle. They weren't televised. It gave everybody a chance to speak. I know that, I think Mr. McCallum's been on those before. I know Mr. Mueller has. So that's her idea, is to go back to that instead of having where everyone sits up here at the council desk. She feels that it'll open up communications. If we're not being taken, we're a more concentric, close-in environment as is right about today. Don't need to make an answer about tonight, but I would ask council to give me their opinions via email and your thoughts so that I can make a decision.
I think that's a great idea. May I also add something, because I'm a member of this committee. Mr. Daly, we missed you at that meeting. We really need to look at the city website.
That was the next thing I was going to
Right.
say.
It needs, really need to be overdone.
The next meeting we're going to have on the communications committee is about the website. It should be sometime in August, though I don't have a date yet.
So I'll be able to work on as much as you would require. I'm interested in getting it, I think it's not user friendly. We want to make it to where it is user friendly, so everybody feels like they can go to it in the New York Minute and see what's going on instead of reaching everywhere.
Thank you. Any questions?
Well, I have one more clarification. We sent out 2,040 newsletters, is that correct?
Correct.
And what was the total cost of that, please?
Approximately $900. I think it was $835 in postage and $65 in paper. That doesn't include the staff's time.
Yeah, I know, the mailing is expensive.
But it was approximately $900 for
Okay.
postage and paper.
So that would be well worth getting the information that is, if that newsletter has information that is basically the residents will read and maybe put on their refrigerator door, that's a good thing to make it interesting and actually telling what we do.
Our goal is to have it out quarterly. Anything else?
I think we may have checked into this in the past, if we may remember. Have we ever looked at what it would cost and what's, if it's feasible to let people sign up to receive that newsletter electronically? You know what the answer
There's an issue with
now?
mass emails.
You know, anything that's less, like, that's pretty cheap, like mass mail, like stuff like that, it's not.
If you sign up, if you have to opt in, I'm just
I
curious.
mean, you can, but it's like nowadays everything services, it's good.
I just,
I feel like that's like, people read it or not, I don't know. Like, I feel like people don't read emails.
well, again, if there's,
I don't know, I guess usually, it's probably personal preference, but anyway. I'm more likely to read that than email, honestly.
I noticed that the city of Covington, and I follow some of the other websites, they have email addresses, and you can sign up to be a part of the email address. And have we done that, or would we make that a possibility?
I think that's what Mr. Mueller is speaking about.
That's what I was basically
We can look into that.
supporting that.
I mean, it's like our Outlook is like the lowest of Outlook software subscriber levels. So I don't know how you email stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, just saying.
I feel like it could be done, but again, if
No, yeah,
there's
there's
no
ways
other
to
way,
say.
the savings isn't that great, then I don't, but,
I also wonder how many people are gonna opt in.
yeah, I mean,
That's my question. We can start looking into that. I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
I think it'd be a great idea.
City Administrator's report, Mr. Daly.
Thank you, Mayor Doherty. Regarding the Ireland Avenue project, last week, Director Miller and myself attended a pre-application meeting at PDS. The group was there to review the amended development plan that was submitted. Part of the job of the group was to consider the minor changes and the major changes from the 2007 plan that was submitted. And we concluded, obviously, there are several areas that kind of hit into the major part of changes. So we referred this group to the Planning Commission for them to review the amended plan. And from there, the plan will then be submitted to the city council. And it will be up to this group whether or not they approve those changes or not. PDS will present to the Planning Commission. That's a open meeting, so obviously everybody can attend if they would like. And PDS will present the findings that comes from the Planning Commission to this group. And the Infra Hub, which was mentioned earlier, pavement management program, the data has been collected. Infra Hub is currently processing the data, and the next step is the web application process with communicating that with our staff here and teaching us. And the last thing I have off my report is there is an Old Crescent Springs working group meeting scheduled for Wednesday, 7:30 at 10 a.m.
Mr. Bailey, you do know that Shamali Reddy, we lost her to Covington, the city administrator. Have you met the individual that's going to be the executive director?
Mr. Weiss, yes,
Yes.
I know him. I've met him, obviously, in my 6 years here, and I've gotten to know Josh. Really great guy.
And of course, Shamali now will be with the city of Covington, on Washington. Super lady.
Director Miller and I saw her last week and congratulated her and are very excited for her. She's a special lady.
Great team.
Anything else, Mr. Daly?
Yeah, I guess. Mike, thanks for sending that information over for the that repair. I was wondering, is there any update from SE1 on covering half that? Or?
I have not received anything. April, Director Miller, have you guys? No. When I find out something, I'll let you know. I mean, it's to this point, when we've submitted anything with the 50/50, we've been very received. Now, hopefully that luck continues.
So just for clarification, from my knowledge, what is our responsibility or the city's responsibility for the right of way for that project?
Well, the goal is ultimately, with that right of way, the goal is ultimately that, obviously, we get accepted for the 50/50, but the ultimate goal is that SD1 takes over all that piping. So that in the future, when Mike Daly or Director Miller or April Robinson are here in 10 or 20 years, you know, there's no confusion who owns that, you know, who's in charge of that piping. Craig sketched, the city engineer seems to think that we can get them to do that. So that would be obviously a plus, if that makes sense.
All that was in the right of way, more or less, for that.
It took us a long time to go through city history and documents, which is stored downstairs. And we kept coming upon more information. And ultimately, when we finally had gathered all the information, that right of way is, we're responsible for it. You know, initially I thought it would have been, my initial thought was it would have been parties of dominance in the commercial area, but ultimately at the end of the day, it was not the case. And I did get a few emails from corporate lawyers for Arby's and McDonald's, and obviously, right off the bat, they were saying it was not theirs, but we did figure it out. But if it would have been theirs or been partially theirs, then obviously we had those meetings a few times that we were going to have to buy the cost up if it would have been the case.
Anything else? Thank you, sir. In old business, second reading of ordinance 2025-6. This is to adopt the Z21 planning and zoning code that was worked on so diligently for a couple of years.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2025-6, an ordinance of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, repealing the zoning code and adopting a new zoning code pursuant to the Z21 committee as set forth in file number PC 250004-TX of the Kent County Planning Commission. Whereas the city of Crescent Springs had adopted a zoning ordinance and has made several amendments since its adoption, and whereas the city appointed a committee to consider a revised zoning code commonly referred to as the Z21 zoning committee, and whereas the committee has made its report to both the council and to the Kent County Planning Commission, and whereas the city filed a text amendment with the Kent County Planning Commission, style PC-25-0004-TX, which was heard on June 5th, 2025 by the Kent County Planning Commission. And whereas the Kent County Planning Commission adopted the text amendment, which is incorporated herein as it fully set forth and can be found with the Planning and Development Services of Kent County, PDS, and can also be found at the city clerk's office. And whereas the process has met the requirements of KRS 100.201 et sec, and whereas the repeal of the existing zoning ordinance is consistent with the adoption of the Z21 zoning code. Now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and the city council of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the existing zoning code in existence is hereby repealed. In its stead, the city council and the mayor adopt the Z21 zoning code is more fully set forth and referred to in file number PC-25-0004-TX of the Kent County Planning Commission, and is adopted herein as it fully set forth herein, which is found at the city clerk's office. Any ordinance or part of an ordinance in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict is hereby repealed.
Just to remind everyone, this is the presentation that we had a couple months ago. This was about a 2-year process, as I remember, Mr. Daly. A committee, residents plus PDS plus Mr. Daly worked very diligently to try to get our zoning back in order as the ordinance says after many changes. If there's no discussion, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-6.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Carol Newman.
Yes.
Bob Mueller.
Yes.
Tom Riley.
Yes.
Jeff Smith.
Yes.
Mark Whitmore.
Yes.
Jenny Westman.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other old business?
Yeah, Mayor, real quick, regarding the garbage contract, I've had several people contact me regarding it. They were kind of disgruntled at council about the lack of contractors that apply. And I let them know that Mike can probably advise on this. I'm just saying this for the public. I believe there's like 4 contractors out there, either Mike, as far as the local contractors, and one of them does not even work in the area, and I think the other one is just dumpster usage. Am I correct on that?
I don't know about that offhand, I did some research, but I'm not saying you're right or wrong.
But that's the reason we only had 2 contractors, because there's only 4 out there, and 2 of them were just local that could do the service for us. I just wanted to reiterate that to the public, that's why we only had 2. And then also, did that expire on December 31st, that contract?
The contract expired on December 31st. We did a 6-month extension so that we could go out to bid the parts.
I have a question. Who negotiated that? I thought that would be something that would have been approved by the city, by the council.
You all approved contracts.
You're talking about the.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, you made the motion to
Yeah,
approve.
but I mean, what I'm talking about, when you extended the 6 months with Rumpke, and that was what I called my Christmas surprise, a bill went up like 40%. And then I talked to Mr. Daly, and he said, well, that you had negotiated it, but the council didn't even know that it was happening.
We did not have time, from the time we found out the price to go through. If you remember, that was a several month process. So we had to keep trash collection. We had to rescind the contract. Yes, it did go up $6, and we got some new contract.
Well, the thing is that it was signed like in October the 28th, or 28th by Mr. Rumpke Jr., and I think 28th by April. Is that correct, April, on those dates? Because I have the contract that I have
Okay.
the records request for, and I was concerned that all of a sudden my bill went up, and no one here at the city told us. I think that should have been put out.
And I believe I said before, we learned from that error. And there was not time between October and the end of December to go through all that process to give the 30 days that was required for bidding, the 45 days that were required for public comments. After that, there wasn't time to do it, so we had to go to a short-term contract, the trash collected, so we went through the process.
So then who were the people that negotiated that? You and Mr. Daly?
We're the ones that said yes to this.
Well, I got my bill in December,
Yes.
because I get every 3 months.
Yes,
And
that's-
all of a sudden there it was. But then after the fact, then we went to Best Way and we had the hearing. I got all of that.
Okay.
But initially, we didn't know anything about why it was being raised. We never even knew it was being raised.
As I stated, we made an error and we learned from that.
Okay, so you want, thank you.
Now you're gonna get an annual bill.
But,
Now you're gonna get an annual bill.
oh, yes, that'll be good. That will go, so much, but it'll be a line item, that's fine.
Any other old business?
I'd like to bring up something, I'm not sure if it's old business or new business, regarding the letter that Attorney Baker sent out on 7/15. I don't need to know names, maybe there aren't even any names, but I'd like to make sure that it is clear. If Mr. Baker could speak on that for 2 minutes, 1 minute, what that was meant for,
Mr. Baker?
to make sure everybody on council understands it properly.
I am not going to criticize anybody on council, but what I do from time to time is find it necessary to remind council members and and sometimes the mayor, what your rights and responsibilities are. The council is a legislative body. It's not in charge of the operations of the city. That's the mayor's job. So the letter was sent, it is essentially, I periodically send a letter to everybody about the use of written communications because you're subject to open records requests. And this is a reminder that you are sitting on council and you're not in charge and you're not running any department within the city. And as a result, you need to let the people who are doing that do their job. And if you have a concern about something that's going on in the city, with the sanitation bill, for example, you need to direct that comment to the city offices, either to the mayor, to April, or to Mike, and let them do their job. So it is, when you're in a small community like Crescent Springs, it's easy to kind of forget that, because everybody knows everybody, and, I get all that. But it is not within the province for you to go out and start quizzing people. Your quizzes, your questions should be directed to the city office, because frequently they will know more than they will know. And if they don't know, they can get back to you. But from my perspective, if a member of council is out talking to someone who's, whether they're cutting the grass or whether they're repairing a job, and it's not necessarily public works by any stretch, you may be placing not just the city, perhaps in legal liability, but yourself. You're interfering with the city operations. So it's a gentle reminder. I hope people took it as a gentle reminder that you can find yourself to what goes on in the caucus and city council meetings. You all ask very perceptive questions at these meetings, and if there's something that arises that you're not sure of, or you have a question of, that's why you have these folks up here. And they do an excellent job. If it's something that would involve a question of the statute or a legal issue, that's when they call me. I go through these people also. I don't go out and question anybody in the city. I talk to the people at the top of the table here, and if that should call them for somebody else to questioned, whether it's a lawsuit or whatever the issue might be, then I'll let them contact that individual, and we can sit down and talk. So it's just as much a reminder to me as it is to you to use channels. And again, I hope everyone took it as a general reminder, because that's what it was intended to do.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Thank you. New business. Reading municipal order 2025-9.
Municipal order 2025-9, municipal order of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, amending the purchasing and procurement policy to include procedures regarding procurement cooperatives. Whereas the city of Crescent Springs has in place a purchasing and procurement policy which addresses the procedures by which supplies and goods that are needed by the city are acquired. And whereas the city participates with procurement cooperatives that have already performed competitive solicitations that comply with Kentucky law. And whereas the purchasing and procurement policy needs to be amended to address the procedure for the use of acquiring goods and services through procurement cooperative. Now therefore be it ordered by the mayor of the legislative body of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the purchasing and procurement policy of the city is hereby amended to include section G, procurement cooperatives. A copy of the entire purchasing and procurement policy is attached here to as an exhibit and incorporated herein as it fully set forth.
Thank you. This just solidifies the fact that we can buy through a cooperative, that the state's already gone through and vetted these vendors, and they have, they comply with the law, the pricing and everything. And this is just to put that into the purchasing procedures to allow the city to do this.
I make a motion to approve the municipal order 2025-9.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Harold Galvin,
Yes.
Scott Mueller,
Yes.
John Kylie,
Yes.
Jeff Smith,
Yes.
Mark Burger,
Yes.
Janine Bell Smith,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next is first reading of this ordinance 2025-7. This is amending the public records ordinance to allow council to have copies of items at no charge.
Ordinance number 2025-7, an ordinance of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, amending ordinance number 2021-14 regarding a policy governing the inspection of public records of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky. Whereas in conformity with KRS 61.870-61.884 as amended, the city of Crescent Springs adopted ordinance number 2021-14, wherein the city adopted a policy regarding the inspection of public records of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, and where city council now desires to amend that policy. Now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and the city council of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the procedures and rules governing the inspections of public records of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky is hereby amended. A policy for the enactment of this ordinance is that elected officials who are holding office at the time of the request for inspection of public records shall not be charged for copies of city records requested in their official capacity.
This came up after the communications committee, and I thought that I could just say no charge, but since it's in the ordinance, we did have the ordinance changed. So this is the first reading, no action tonight.
Is there anything built in there for abuse? In other words, asking for every other thing that happens in the city, records in between?
No, because open records are open records.
Okay. In terms of free, they can get it for free on everything?
Elected officials, yes.
Thank you.
Next item is ordinance 2025-8. This is for the statewide emergency management mutual aid that was spoken over earlier.
Ordinance number 2025-8, an ordinance of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, authorizing the mayor to enter into the statewide emergency management mutual aid and assistance agreement. Whereas an agreement has been proposed between local entities throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the Commonwealth of Kentucky, in which the parties agree that Kentucky is geographically vulnerable to a variety of emergencies and disasters. And whereas the Commonwealth has requested that each local entity share aid and assistance in cases of disaster or emergency that impact communities throughout the Commonwealth. And whereas pursuant to KRS 65.210 at SEC, a local entity may enter into a mutual aid and assistance agreement which includes provisions for the furnishing and exchanging of supplies, equipment, facilities, personnel, and services. And whereas a proposed agreement has been submitted to Crescent Springs for its consideration to join with other cities and local entities with regard to the statewide emergency management mutual aid and assistance agreement. Now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and the city council of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized to enter into, on behalf of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, the statewide emergency management mutual aid and assistance agreement proposed by the Commonwealth. Said agreement is incorporated herein by reference as it fully set forth herein.
Chief Wayne did a great job of speaking on this. Again, first reading, no action required tonight. Any questions, you can reach out to Chief Wayne. Any other committee reports?
Matt, would it be possible to have Steve Hensley come and address the issues with us? He's in charge of emergency management.
I know Steve is.
Yeah, I know. Have we had any, if there been anything, maybe Mike can say this, in the county where he thinks Steve Hensley addressed this?
He basically has sent out a group email to all Kenton County cities, and his recommendation is that all cities get on board, and obviously accomplish what we need to accomplish here.
He is excellent, he's excellent. We're in the best of hands with Steve Hensley, that's for sure.
He's a great guy.
Yeah,
He's a
he's
great
super.
guy.
Realize if he could just come and kind of give us an overview of it. He's a very knowledgeable man. Is that a possibility?
I'll forward his email to everyone.
I mean, I think the biggest thing to remember by adopting this agreement, it's just gonna help Crescent Springs when we request assistance during a disaster. We're not a very big, city. I mean, we only have 7 full-time employees, 3 part-time seasonal, and 1 part-time. Obviously, we contract and we're very lucky to have them with Bill Hill's Police Department. And then we are blessed because for decades now, the cities of Bill Hill and Crescent Springs share the fire authority, which has worked well. So for us, I think it's, we just go with what Steve said, which we recommend, obviously.
I'll forward that email to the same.
Yeah, the one paragraph, it's quite interesting. It says executive order of the President of the United States. So this is all in combination with anything that might happen throughout the entire United States.
Oh, did you? Okay. I didn't.
And the governor too.
In regards to the committee for PW, first of all, if there's ever any questions regarding the committee, I'm the chairman. Feel free to contact me, not a problem. It is not any of the members that are on the committee that are the chairman, but at least try to take it through. Unfortunately, all meetings will be considered special because we have the meetings approximately quarterly. This one was called because it was the beginning of the fiscal year to make sure everything was in place and everything was okay. That's why it was a short meeting, because everything's okay. I don't know what else I can say about it, but that's why the meeting was short, that's why it's called. Because they are not a scheduled meeting like some of them, like communications, it will be a special meeting whenever it's called.
I have a question regarding the meetings. I don't know, Mayor, were you going to touch on as far as the 3-day notice and all that there in your report?
I spoke about that earlier, that's, that was something that was decided in communications meeting.
Okay, so that will be transferred to the public works and all that. Well, I wanted to put my 2 cents in on the special meetings. As far as public works as well, you said you'll be given 3 days notice, more or less. I would request that the citizens, like Janine said, will be allowed to speak. I mean, there's no sense in Mark allowing them and then other committees not allow. I mean, it just don't make no sense. And then also, I'd like to touch on the public works meetings. Being that they are special meetings, I would ask that they be actually set in stone, like say in April to plan the public works, saying in 2 months later in June to do the budgeting, and then August to see what the progress is as far as the public works go, and then October to go over what they have achieved.
I would suggest you work with Councilman McCown on that.
Okay. I'll be in contact with you then. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I have something. It's called code enforcement. We paid this gentleman $27,000 as he gets his raises and he gets his holidays. It would be interesting if we could have reports from the code enforcement of what's going on and give us what he does every week, like 3 days a week, I believe, 8 hours, and what happens during that time that he's working.
He works closely with Mr. Daly, and some of the information is personal information that would have to be redacted. But I'll work with Mr. Daly and we'll see what we can come up with.
I think it would be very, very important for us all to know, and especially our residents too. With code enforcement, he's a paid salary person.
I will work with Mr. Daly.
We need to know. That's the people's voice again, and their right to be heard.
Anything else?
Make a move, we're going to ask for citizens' comments, never mind.
There are no citizens, there are no citizens.
I can make a motion to
Well,
adjourn.
yes, sir.
I know you mentioned TV before, is that gonna tie into like the new audio
Yes.
media we're gonna have here?
Yes.
Is there a timeline for that?
I hope by the August, I want this done, I'm not like the park, I don't want to.
All right.
Now, Carol,
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I think they all.
So, I think they all.